162 years ago today, our nation, the United States of America, was perhaps going through its darkest time. At that point in time, this country was divided between two different countries, the United States of America and the illegitimate Confederate States of America. And our country was going through our nation's civil war, which had already claimed way too many lives. In the year 1863, the Civil War is in its third year. The Union Army suffered its greatest defeat at the Battle of Chancellorsville in May, and in July of 1863, the Confederate Army of Northern Virginia, under the command of General Robert E. Lee, is turned back at Gettysburg. And the day after that, General Ulysses S. Grant takes the Confederate stronghold of Vicksburg, Mississippi, cutting the Confederacy in two. It is now November, just 4 months after the Battle of Gettysburg, which is the bloodiest battle of the Civil War, which lasts 3 days. President Abraham Lincoln is invited to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, to give a speech and to attend the dedication ceremony of the cemetery that will be established there. The event is primarily hosted and spoken by a man named Edward Everett, rather than Abraham Lincoln. Everett spoke for 2 hours before Abraham Lincoln came on and spoke his famous words. But when President Lincoln finally did get up on that stage, he spoke words that at that time didn't seem like they were very significant, and they weren't really seen as such at the time, but they ended up becoming words that changed the course of history, and it redefined why the Union Army was fighting the Civil War. In this speech, Lincoln redefined everything that the Union was fighting for at that time, declaring that the Civil War was testing the very young at that time nation, and simply to remember the fallen from that war, and to redefine the United States as a whole, that the United States stood for liberty and freedom and equality, everything that is defined in the Declaration of Independence, and to uphold the idea that all men are created equal. The words that Abraham Lincoln speaks at Gettysburg are only 272 words. He did not speak very long at all, but his words are words that I remember every day, and it is perhaps one of the greatest speeches in American history. Abraham Lincoln said these words: 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or to detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us the living rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, and that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.